Kim and Janine are not here. And then if Emily doesn't make it, then we'll just put her down as absent as well. It's a short agenda tonight. Supposed to have A&B here to talk about some new revenues for billing.
That's it.
First thing we need to do is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which she has a copy of.
Sorry, I didn't say.
And it's been a while since we've had a meeting. We've had a lot of Russell can vouch for that, and Chris and Corey's here. A lot of meetings, so this is the first night that we've really had the opportunity to have one. So y'all take a minute, read over those and
Hey. Showing up on the timeline. Not showing up on the timeline. Hang on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Let's see, doctor.
You need some hand sanitizer?
That's it.
You know, nurse has got some for you.
If that's me.
Spell check, I'm sure that is you.
Yeah. I done figured that out. We're not there too close to you. You got a lot of people that like you. This is true.
so.
I'll be back up, buddy.
Glad you got me back.
I'll video it. We'll video you walking out if you want.
Video me in slow motion. You get the full effect.
Here's one for Derek. You're really gonna-
You know what song it is?
Make a motion to approve them, a little adjustment to name at the top of the page.
Not bad, it's a spell check thing.
Tomorrow night's gonna be out.
Not that I don't know you.
Oh, I know you do.
Oh, we don't get real big.
Which change was that?
For the whole time.
I've got Thompson's says Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, Russell.
I'm sorry.
You see anything you need to correct there?
No, ma'am.
We have a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Russell seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is Mr. Curtis has reached out to us wanting to address the committee, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Freddie Curtis.
Would be a good place for
Oh.
this size, so. Is this okay? Is this okay right here then? I will not sit down if that's okay. But I'll be fairly brief.
Your time.
My doctors will probably be glad that I'm doing that. First off, members of the committee, I'm here at a twofold mission. The twofolds that I have is the first as director of schools to go on record. I'd like to read a letter to you that I have submitted to Mr. Dex Sisson, Director of the Cannon County Ambulance Service EMS, I feel, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And enter this as a record. I put Dr. Mr. Sisson, so I don't know why I did that, but that's I give you a deal every day. This letter is in regard to my sincere appreciation to the partnership between Cannon County Schools and the Cannon County Ambulance Service for the past many years. Your services to our students, educators, and staff personnel have been exemplary. Just last spring, ambulance service personnel came to the aid of a situation regarding a Cannon County school bus in which a student was hurt. Even more recently, last week, a student suffered a severe broken arm at the Woodbury Grammar School playground. Ambulance personnel were dispatched to the scene of the accident, and subsequently the young lady was airlifted to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital in Nashville. Please accept this letter as my personal thanks and letter of support to the Cannon County Ambulance Service as an outstanding partner and appreciation to the true public servants for the students and educators and staff of Cannon County Schools. Sincerely, William F. Curtis, Director of Schools. So I'm hand delivering that. I'm saving the taxpayers of Cannon County the postage. So we're doing that. And secondly, and so I've got letters for each of you, if you will.
Thank you, sir.
For each one of you that I have that are copies of this letter. Thomas. There, Chris. I'll leave some, Mr. Chairman, if you want to give those to me. That's a copy of the letter. The next thing I'm going to talk about is of a personal nature. So please note, for the record, my identification as Director of Schools is going right there, and now I would like to be a citizen of the 5th District, 3 houses down from where we're at right now. As a citizen of the 5th District, I'm here to talk about a personal experience that happened to me with my heart attack that I had on June the 25th. On June the 25th, while I was at the school board meeting, right before the school board meeting, started feeling not so well. And subsequently, I went through and we went through the meeting, and I started feeling even worse, walked across the street, and which some of you saw me there, I was sweating profusely, and was having intense pain in my chest and my shoulder, and I started feeling nauseous, of which I told Brent, was the closest one to me, that the committee can do what they want to with their budget amendments. I'm having to go home, I'm leaving. And so I went across the street, and I had 3 board members still talking after our meeting, and didn't even talk to them, and went back to my apartment. And one of the board members followed me, Mr. Fan, and just to check on me. And I just told him I wasn't feeling well, and he offered transportation, but at that point I started putting some more additional clothing on, and drove myself over to the hospital, of which I was diagnosed in the middle of a cardiac event. And I don't know what you know in regard to that. Most of you are professionals. I see members of the ambulance service here. You guys were the consummate professionals. And I was diagnosed that I was in the middle of a heart attack. And there, the MONA was given, which I learned later what MONA stood for. So, but that was given, and they said, we're going to move you directly to the cardiac cath lab at St. Thomas, Rutherford. At that point, this is where the story, my own personal story, talks about that my appreciation goes to the true professionals of the Cannon County Ambulance Service. And Charles Noakes is here. Charlie and I go back about as far back as you could go. We were freshmen at DeKalb County High School and graduated together, but Charles was my technician. I guess that's what you call the EMT. That was back working with me, and Charlie stabilized me, gave me 2 medications to literally keep me alive until we got to St. Thomas Rutherford. And Charles, I'll publicly thank you for that. But part of the Cannon County Ambulance Service kept me alive. And they were well equipped. The personnel were outstanding in knowing what to do for me. And every step of the way, something could have happened where I wouldn't be here tonight. But they got me directed to the cath lab. Again, the equipment was there. The medication was there. And I want to emphasize that really, really strongly. And the professionalism was there, that him having the knowledge and knowing, plus the driver. I don't remember who was driving at that point, but the driver was exceptional to get me there in the time limit that I needed to be there. He got me to the cath lab. Again, Charles stayed with me until their individuals could get to me, stuck with me right into the cath lab. And then subsequently, I had a cardiac catheterization where they would go in and check, and I had, it was determined at that cardiac catheterization that I had 3 blockages, major blockages, 2 of those 99, one of the Widowmaker, and the other 90% blocked. The other one, that was 90% blocked, plus my aorta was about to rupture. It was about to explode, to quote them. So they put me on a balloon pump, again, saving my life there at St. Thomas Rutherford. That literally saved my life, but in doing so, then I had to be, the only way they could keep that balloon pump on me is to transport me via life flight helicopter from St. Thomas Rutherford directly to St. Thomas West, where a surgeon was waiting on me there. So every step of the way, was handled by consummate professionals. But where it started at was right here in Cannon County, with an ambulance service that transported me and knew what to do, a hospital, that emergency room that knew what to do. I was offered a private vehicle to take me on to Murfreesboro, and I literally told that person, I said, I don't think I've got that long. And again, that was from the decision. I drove myself, not wise. So if you're watching Not Wise, drive yourself to the hospital. But I got to the hospital, and then they took very, very good care of me after that. But that's not the end of the story. I'd like to submit to the record for you tonight, too, a copy of 2 EOBs. Because after I left the hospital after receiving the bypass surgery, I stayed there for a week. And then I asked to go over to the hospital, or the rehabilitation hospital, Trust Point. And I did that because I needed some additional care. And the insurance agreed that they would give me a week there at Trust Point and I was extensive with OTPT. But that story before there, so I was still under oxygen when I left St. Thomas West and had to be transported by a private ambulance from St. Thomas West to Trust Point Hospital, Murfreesboro. Basically the same amount of distance from St. Thomas West to Trust Point as it is from St. Thomas Rutherford to Cannon County. Basically the same distance. So I've given you, and I've tried to black out the information that is personal, but I want you to look at 2 EOBs that I have. And these EOBs, one is from Cannon County EMS. By the way, I know your next person is AMB. I've not really got my bill yet from AMB. So if you would give it to me, I'd be glad to. I'd be glad to get that paid. But you can see what I was billed in Cannon County. Again, let me talk to you about my trip from St. Thomas West to Trust Point in Murfreesboro. It was in a private ambulance. I don't care to tell you who it was. It's there. AMR is the ones who transported me. First thing I noticed, of course, I had been transported not because of my condition, but because I was on O2. I was on oxygen. And by the way, I got off oxygen the next day after I got to Trust Point. They had a great OT and PT, and I was off the oxygen. My oxygen levels got up the next day, but I didn't have to be on the oxygen. But I did have to be on it in transport. So they put me under, I get to their ambulance. By the way, it was 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon on I-24, if that tells you anything. Okay, so wall-to-wall traffic, they had delayed itself. If they got me out at 3, I'd been all right, but they delayed another hour in getting there. And thus they put us in rush hour traffic coming out of Nashville, heading to Murfreesboro. That was number 1. Number 2, when I get in the ambulance, and I get on the ambulance, the first thing I noticed is the smell of exhaust fumes. The second smell that I detected was transmission fluid. And inside the ambulance was basically a shell. It was bare bones. I don't believe there may have been supplies hidden away, but they noticed he got something out, and it was a paper. It wasn't a supply that he got out, the technician. And the deal there was, and I said, well, he's going to check my O2. Okay, he checked my O2. I could detect the O2 was coming out there, and then about maybe 3 or 4 minutes in, I detected no O2. And so I told him, I said, I don't think I'm getting any oxygen. And he tapped on the gauge, and we were already well underway. And he tapped on the gauge, and he said, well, I think I may have grabbed the wrong tank. So I had no oxygen, basically, from the real reason I was transported in the first place instead of my private vehicle. I had no oxygen from that point all the way to Trust Point. And so, no oxygen, no supplies, and if something had occurred there, I think that there was no monitoring me on an EKG. There was no monitoring on me like what we had in Cannon County with monitoring what was going on with my heart. I had 0 monitoring, nothing. And he continuously talked about who's going to pay the bill here, and asked about my insurance. ask about, and he said, my job is to keep you conscious so you can sign the invoice at the end of this trip. Now, that tells me a lot when somebody is only concerned, number one, about the monetary value. And again, this is from personal experience, not something I heard from somebody, this was me. And he kept on talking about the bill and how much the bill was going to be. Now, when you get involved in how much the bill is instead of the care you receive, I think a line has been crossed. And dealing with this private company, that's just what it was, a private company, a business. Instead of my care was secondary, my ability to pay was primary on that. So I want to tell you, if this commission is considering privatization, I would say you're going up the wrong direction. That ambulance services are just as essential as the other services that this county provides. So I'm a living testimony that our ambulance personnel were professional. They had my care more than anything about billing or I was never asked about billing, period. About my ability to pay. And I could do some of the really intricate ways of looking at how similar it is to public education versus private education. I could go down that road, I'm not going to. But what I will tell you is that the care that I had was subpar to what I had previously before. I was expecting to having that type of care, and I literally did not receive that care by the private ambulance. Now, some would say, well, that was just a transporter. Sure it was, but I was still under the care of my doctors to get me to point A to point B. And I felt that I was inadequately cared for there. So I did want to show you that. But let's talk about the finances just for a little bit. When I look at your EOB, you can see the EOB I received from the Cannon County EMS. This is Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm a member of the state plan. I hope I'm not violating any HIPAA or anything right there, but I'm part of the state plan. And you can see the cost amount of provider bill was $872.34. And then my insurance paid $785.11. I owe the Cannon County EMS $87.23. I'll be glad to write you a check for that, for that tonight. So thank you for that. I noticed there was no Blue Cross Blue Shield River discount. I don't think any ambulance service has a Blue Cross Blue Shield discount. I'm trying, but I did not get the discount. Now, if you can see, I owe AMB, which I'm assuming that's what I owe is AMB. Is that correct? So I owe them $87.23. I can be glad to write a check right now to do that. So if you'll turn the page, is the EOB, same thing, level playing field that I received from AMR. And so you can see that about the same distance they charged me. Instead of $872.34 is what Cannon County charged me, they charged me $1,336.59. So my argument there is privatization will bring higher fees. There's my 2 cents on that.
Less care and higher.
And less care and higher fees, yes sir. Yes sir, Mr. Chairman. And then you can look at what my insurance paid, $1,202. By the way, they charge for mileage too, not just for the care. They charged me mileage, $13 and some odd cents per mile that they charged me for 33 miles. So the $133 there is about what they were charging me on the mileage is what it was. That Blue Cross Blue Shield decided, they said we're going to pay you $1,202.93, and that was it. So what I would say now, then I owe them $133.66. You think that would be the end of it, but you receive phone calls after a medical procedure, and you wait for your insurance to pay, then you get their bill, and you're ready to pay as part of the process. But AMR called me while I was at Trust Point, and they were saying, we need to be paid immediately. So I got to be billed, and I'm now going to pay them because that was way before I got an EOB, before I was even home. That they called and left a message on my home phone. I didn't have my cell phone number, but they called me at my home and left a message for me that they're expecting payment immediately. And even before I could get home to convalesce, they had already had called me in regard to my bill that the insurance had not paid, so. And I said, you'll get paid when I get an EOB, and we'll follow the procedure just like anybody should follow that procedure. So, Mr. Chairman, I was gonna say, less service and more pay. So I would strongly suggest to any commissioner, before any privatization is considered, look at your equipment, look at the personnel, and then look at how they're going to charge you, how they're going to do the charging for that you would certainly, as a commission, to see that in privatization. I know privatization has its pros, and there's cons, but I'm telling you, the cons greatly, in my own personal case, the cons greatly outweigh any pros that were there about savings or whatever. I'm just speaking as a consumer, not as, and again, but I would be concerned about the quality, I'll put it that way, the quality of care. And from what I saw from two different sides of the professional side, and I told Saldeck the other day, by the way, he came up to when we airlifted the young lady from Woodbury Grammar, and he was there, and we had a conversation, and I said, I'd be glad. I said, in fact, I'd already told folks, I want to testify from the ambulance committee, because it was a personal story that happened to me. And I'll be glad to take any questions or any comments that you would have in regard to my own personal experience there. But I appreciate the committee's time, and thank you for what you do. I serve on numerous boards, numerous committees, and I know it takes your time, and I appreciate you and what you do. And again, I mean what I wrote today there, that we're partners together. If we have any major things go on in Canton County with our students, that Canton County Ambulance Service is right there when we need them. And I appreciate that so very, very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Freddie. Does anybody have questions for Freddie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry I was maybe a lot longer than I meant to be, so thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right. We want to turn this over to Deck and AMB now.
All right, well, I'm just gonna turn it right back around. She is here to address us and talk about any questions you guys have about some services potentially charged.
My name is Kira Bell. I am the managing director at AB. I've been with AB since March. I took the place of Bill Parrott, if anybody knew who he was. And yeah, I'm free to answer anything you might have questions about.
Chris, do you have anything? Okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start this. And everybody chime in with their responses, opinions, and everything else. And obviously, we brought you down here. We talked about, like many other services, and I've discussed this with some surrounding counties and other counties kind of similar to our size.
Okay.
Basically, what it is that there's certain things that we do not charge for right now that we potentially been exploring to start charging. Other counties are similar to us. They don't charge currently, but they said that they looked into some of these charges that we're currently looking into. It would be something like a lift assist. Some of these charges are for transporting DOAs. And I'll just let you kind of go from there and start from there.
Okay.
And also, refusal of service.
Okay, yes. Okay, so let's start with the DOAs. You can bill if you are dispatched to a call and the patient is a DOA, but they are not declared deceased before dispatch. So you're dispatched, you set an ambulance. If they're declared deceased after you're dispatched, so you're already dispatched on your way, you can bill the insurance carrier for that. What you would bill is a BLS run with no mileage. Okay. So that's probably the easiest one. If they are declared deceased before you were dispatched, so you know you're going just to transport a body, say, to the funeral home, then that's not billable to the insurance, but you can certainly set something up to bill the estate, the patient's family, something like that.
I guess my follow-up question to that would be, usually our dispatch information is something like, unresponsive, not breathing, possible DOA.
Okay. So they have not been declared.
Okay.
Right. Now,
Declination would be based on a medical professional who has a title of paramedic behind their name, RN behind their name, or physician behind their name, correct?
so what is your policy, or what do your protocols say, who can declare somebody deceased?
In the county or within EMS?
Within
law?
EMS? Can the
Paramedics.
EMS provider, EMS
I'm
provider
sorry,
can
this
declare?
is Dr. Michael
Paramedics.
Thomas. And I
Okay.
apologize, Care. This is Chris Coates, our county attorney.
Hi.
Brent Brandon, our
Hello.
ambulance committee chairman, Russell Reed, ambulance committee, Alyssa, ambulance committee, and Dr. Michael Thomas, medical director, / I'm gonna say county coroner, even though I know it's gonna say medical. Yeah. But I said, believe me, but I have a phenomenal job he does. But my point to that is, that's why, obviously, the questions he's got.
Right. So yes, if the paramedics can declare somebody deceased, then once they get there and they declare them, then yes, but that was after the dispatch. Yeah,
So it's not gonna matter the wording on the dispatch form?
no, it won't matter at all. No.
How does that work with hospice? Can a hospice nurse,
Mhm.
Yes.
she can pronounce, or he can pronounce?
Mhm.
Okay.
RN.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're dispatched and you started en route, if you get called and say, well, the patient has been declared deceased before you even get there, you can still bill for a BLS run, because it was after the dispatch. And you'll just, that will be in your notes, in your narrative, and we'll bill it from there. Yes.
Are we currently doing that?
You guys chime in if you got anything else. I'm sorry, this is
Hello?
David and Jason, the guys dressed like me.
To my knowledge, Dr. Thomas, no.
We're not currently.
I can check on that for you and let you know.
But, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And if you're not, you should be, absolutely.
But now, if they do arrive on scene and they do initiate CPR, of course, that,
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know, there's 20-some cases a year
right.
that you all
That's
basically
the
arrive.
first time I heard it explained like that.
Yep, as long as they're declared deceased after dispatch. That's what the CMS rules say.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you're concerned about billing an estate afterwards, so, let's say you bill the insurance and the insurance only pays $200 and there's a $300 bill left over. If you're concerned about the estate getting that or the patient's wife or whatever, then we can always set something up on the back end where we can write that off or whatever if you're concerned about the public relations of that.
All right.
Any questions?
Not right now, so I'm still listening.
The lift assist, there are quite a few agencies that are billing for that. That is typically not billable to an insurance carrier. We would try to do it, but not many are paying for it. It's typically a pretty nominal fee, maybe $50, $75, something like that. And a lot of times, it will depend. So if you're going to somebody's house to assist them, versus if you're going to a nursing home to help somebody. So if you're going to a nursing home, you may want to just bill the nursing home directly. If you're going then to somebody's home, then we can certainly bill the patient. It would really be up to you how you want to implement that. If this is something where this person never has called before and, you want to, this is a one-time thing, you don't want to bill for it, that's up to you. You would just let us know how you want to handle that. So we can set anything up like that. We can try and bill to the insurance carrier to begin with, but likely they will deny it.
Well, I'm the money person here, so that's, I care about the people, but my function is just having the money here.
Sure?
We go out a lot of times on the list. And our county is pretty large. I mean, just a few ambulances. And you have a minimal team because of cost.
Right.
We're gonna have to start building them, in my opinion. If they won't pay, then we're gonna start taking them to court. Y'all take them to court.
We don't physically take them to court because it's not our bill it's your bill. So if you want to sue them and take them to court, then that's something that you have to do, but we will assist you in that process.
Do you do the lift assist billing like you do the traditional billing, like the 3 statements and then would that by chance get sent to me? I know I have a monthly statement of names. So take a break for a